The truth of things revealed into thy flock as a rule of faith, an icon of meekness and a teacher of temperance. Therefore thou hast achieved the heights by humility, riches by poverty. O Father and Hierarch Nicholas, intercede with Christ God, that thy soul be saved. Правиловери образ проповеди, воздержания учителя, явите стаду Твоему, я же вещи истина, Твоего ради стяжаюсь и смирение высокая, нищетою богатая, очень священно начальниче Николае, моли Христа Бога, спасите душу наших. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, both now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. Hero of saints, thou didst soon to be a minister of things sacred, for having fulfilled the gospel of Christ, a righteous one, thou didst lay down thy life for thy people, and didst take the innocent from death, wherefore thou wast rectified at the great edition of the grace of God.
The Prokimenon for today is, the righteous man shall be glad in the Lord and shall hope in him. And I think that sums up sanctity, piety, holiness. When I think of that Prokimenon, everything that I hear in the church, everything I read in the scriptures, applies to me without me even trying, really, to be honest with you, to my own personal condition. And I've tried to teach you to do this as well. I think it's very important. Not to think that the scriptures are telling you something that you should buy a car or become an astronaut or that they should tell you some sort of foolish thing. But they should tell you about your condition. They should tell you about what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what you are doing, what you aren't doing, about how God will help you, about how God might judge you. It should apply to you personally. Read the scriptures in order to learn. And of course, this is part of the scriptures. This is part of a psalm. And when I hear this Prokimenon about such a holy person such as Nicholas, I think how far away I am from perfection. The righteous man shall be glad in the Lord and shall hope in him. There's many times during the day that I'm not glad at all, and I think it applies to you also, that you're not glad. You're upset about this, or upset about that, or anxious about this or that, or angry at something or someone, or just generally dissatisfied. The righteous man is glad in the Lord. Now, we don't see the Lord, and we don't really feel the Lord, but that's because of our lack of holiness. Those that were holy saw and felt the Lord. Now, we can't understand this because we haven't experienced it. It doesn't mean that such an experience does not exist and is not possible. When we venerate the saints, there should be inherent in that thought when we are praying to them, when we are asking for their help, when we are meditated upon their virtues, that because they did it, we can do it. Because they're the same stuff we are. The only difference between them and us is that they tried harder. That's it. Same grace is available. The righteous man is glad in the Lord. And we're concerned about this and concerned about that, and distracted by the daily monotony of life, and by our own desires, and by all kinds of things. Life is really simple. The Lord is. And this is good news, because He has said that we will be sons of God. Sons and daughters by grace, as His Son is by nature. That's something we should be glad about. The saints were glad all the time. and they shall hope in the Lord. What does that mean? That means hope now is not wishful thinking. That's what it means nowadays. People say, I hope I get a good grade on the test. That's not what hope is. That's not what hope is in the Scriptures. Hope is the expectation of something that is to come. Not wishful thinking. We hope for the second coming of the Lord and for the consummation of all things. We're not wishing for it. We're waiting for it expectantly. If a person is hoping for holiness, for righteousness, then everything he does in his life is for that purpose. Now life gets complex. You read St. Nicholas's life, there's a lot of stuff that happens. He saved people from being killed. He slapped Arius and was deposed for it, and then reinstated. He went to the Holy Land. He had all kinds of pastoral problems and things that he had to solve. His life was not simple in terms of the day-to-day things that he had to do, because he was dealing with people as a pastor and as a shepherd, and it's complicated dealing with people. But in essence, all that mattered to him was the Lord. Can we say the same thing about ourselves? When you hear this Prokeimenon, do you think that this Prokeimenon echoes or describes your state before God? Your way of life? It should. To my shame, I say that it doesn't. I want it to. And that's the beginning of sanctity. To want to. To want to be holy. So on this day that we celebrate our patron, who was holy, and was even venerated as holy during his lifetime, let us beg St. Nicholas to intercede on our behalf that we would desire to be holy. Not that we would become holy. First we have to desire. Nothing will happen without desire. And then as a person becomes holy, he becomes glad. Because there is peace in his heart. Let us beg Nicholas that he would beseech the Lord that we would be given this peace. Or rather, I should not say given, that we would gain this peace. That we would obtain this peace by God's grace and our labor and our desire. May God help us.